This is the Stealth Mac Podcast. Technology, news, product reviews, tips and tricks, and how-tos.
Hi, alright, so we're going to talk about creating a virtual machine in Parallels. Let me say the first thing you need is you need the operating system software of whatever virtual machine you're creating. So you're going to need Red Hat Linux or Fedora or Ubuntu or Microsoft Windows XP or Vista or Windows 7. You're going to need that software. Boot Camp or virtual machine, you're still going to need to get that software CD from somewhere. I don't condone pirating it or BitTorrenting it, but sometimes the older operating systems, that's the only place you can find them. And Windows 7 is free, or it was free. I don't know if it's still open or not, but if you want, you can check it out. You can get Windows 7 free for a year, the release candidate. So what I have here is I have a Windows XP Professional disk, and I have a Service Pack 2 disk. That way I don't have to download Service Pack 2. Now, I'm only going to Service Pack 2 on Windows XP because I know that some of the programs that I'm going to be loading later are not compatible with Service Pack 3. So I have these two disks and they're sitting in front of me, and then the first thing I want to do is launch the Parallels application, so Parallels Desktop. I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. It's just saying it's going to create a new one. It's going to say where is the operating system file. So either if you have an ISO, you can mount it on your desktop or whatever, or if you have a real CD, DVD, ROM, which I do. And it's going to ask me, so it's going to be Windows, and it's going to be XP. So this basically does a lot of the work for you. You don't have to do any special configuration or anything. You just follow the wizard and it does it all. So here's kind of the virtual machine types, right? Do I want to do an Express Windows? Well, basically this will create a Windows Vista, XP, or Server 2003 virtual machine and automatically install the operating system, and it kind of answers a bunch of questions so you don't have to do it. Do a typical or a custom. I'm going to just do the Express. So I'm going to put in my name and I'll put in a Windows key here. Stop this. Okay, so I entered in my serial number or registration number, product key, whatever you want to call it. It's going to ask you to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Windows XP. I'm going to enable file sharing and enable user profile sharing. What this basically allows you to do is share files back and forth between the virtual machine with seamless integration, so it's a lot easier to share files. If you click on the more options, you can create an icon on the desktop. I really don't care about that, and I really don't care about sharing the virtual machine with other users. If you do, this will actually put it in your public folder so that others can mount it. So I'm going to go create. In my boot options, once again, either a real DVD or a ISO. It's asking me now to insert the CD, so I'll insert the CD into the MacBook Pro. And it should pop up here in a second. When it does, I'll hit start. Alright, so the system's seen it, so I'm going to go ahead and click start. If you don't, it just comes up and it says, I can't find the CD, please retry. So as you can see, the virtual machine is now loading. Alright, so it took about 15 minutes of it loading to get to this point. And it now is in the GUI loader and it's doing its thing. Probably another 15-20 minutes on this. So it takes about the same amount of time to install a machine, maybe a little bit less than a normal if you were to install a Windows machine right out of the box. And I'll do another recording when I get to the wizard starts asking me questions. Alright, so it's loaded and it's on its last boot, I believe. Yep. Alright, so the first thing it's going to do is install Parallel Tools. Basically what that does is it allows it to do things like coherence, and allows you to share files back and forth between the virtual machine and your host machine. It allows you to move the mouse into the window and then back out without having to recapture your mouse. There we go. So reboot it. So you see I have a virtual machine and it's in a window, and it just went to coherence mode on its own. I was going to talk about that in a second, actually. Okay, so there's a few things we have to do here. So it's logging me back out because it's still installing the Parallels tools. We'll just click on this and log back in. Now you see it automatically created a user account and everything for me. Now it's running in coherence mode, which is the next video I wanted to talk about. So you can see here, if I click the start menu, I have, just like it's running a, I'm going to move it over here though, because the windows tend to pop up this way. So I like to have it on the left side of my screen. So it's running in coherence mode. I guess I'm not going to have to do a second video. So coherence mode basically hides the desktop and makes Windows part of OS X, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So your start menu's down here. If you wanted to launch any of the Windows programs, it's just like you're in Windows. You can see up here there's also the stuff that's normally in your taskbar at the bottom is up here on top. So thankfully you can hide some of these things. Like when I first started doing this, I actually thought it was kind of a stupid idea, but there are some applications that I like to see in the taskbar, and unfortunately the only way to see the taskbar is if you click Applications, Show Windows Taskbar, and then it shows up down here. But then you have this bar across, and it's kind of annoying. So what I normally do is hide the taskbar, and then I try to get rid of all the icons up here that I don't want. But then there's specific applications that do show the icons that I do want to see. So that's pretty much how you create a virtual machine. It's real easy with Parallels. From here you can go ahead, if you stick in a CD or whatever, you go to Devices, DVD-ROM, and you can say Capture the DVD-ROM, and then whatever you stick in the DVD-ROM will load up in Windows, and then you can like load things like Office or Service Pack 2 or whatever. So if you have any questions, you can reach me at thestealthmac@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
This podcast is a proud affiliate of The Geek Media. www.thegeekmedia.com